Joe, why can't a nose be 12 inches long?
Because it would be a foot.
Thank you. Joe, why didn't the crab ever donate to charities?
Because he was a penny pincher?
He was a shellfish.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
One for two. Batting 500.
Hey, man.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
I'll retire on that average.
Welcome to Carnival Personnel. I'm Jacques.
I'm Joe.
And let's get right into it, Joe. Very big show.
A really big shoe. Does anybody get that reference, man? You kids today?
Not even doing fat shaming this week. Rough week. Could it not? Yeah, I was going to say no fault of my own, but I had to do a lot of babysitting, a mom-in-law type thing. So this is the second week I didn't get to go skating.
Well,
on Thursday.
Actually, are you not counting the time you skated down my driveway last week?
Seriously, off the ice. I am horrible on the ice.
You would think, you'd have like more balance because your center of gravity is fatter.
Well,
I say your center of gravity is fatter.
See, it's not. I disproved a myth. Weebles wobble. This one falls down. It turns out a lot. No, we had one of those. So last week was February vacation, so the rink didn't have it. This week, we had one of those 2-hour school delays, which I don't know what you got here in Allington. We got a dusting. Honestly, it was less than an inch and a half of powder.
Yeah, well, same here. We had like about a couple inches.
And so the little guy who has to go to school at 9:10 got dropped off at 11:10. When I get to get on the ice a half hour away. So what is, again, the dream squashers, the Jacques blockers getting in the way of the things that I want to do in life.
Oh.
So anyways, we're just, yes, don't cry for me.
I see your kids are getting in the way of eating this candy.
They're not eating this. Oh!
Yeah, they're getting in the way of you. Shut up, Joe.
All right, so we're going to start the show. I thought I would have got a chuckle out of this next one there.
Oh, no, I did. I got a little bit of a chuckle. You see, Jacques labels all of his topics on this rundown sheet. And he's pretty, I should maybe pass the baton of titling the episodes to you.
You kill it. You kill it.
Comedy, yes, I do. But this one, 9021, uh-oh.
Yeah, so there was an announcement earlier in the week that 90210 is doing a complete reboot. And everybody, all the main characters from the series is coming back, except the main two. Except, okay, we're doing a reboot of Batman and Robin, but with no Batman and no Robin. And go.
Yeah.
But it
Fresh Prince without the prince or the fresh
or Uncle.
Yeah. Carlton.
Yeah. There you
Carlton,
go.
it's all Carlton all the time. But we're talking about 90210 star Luke Perry, who suffered a stroke.
What's the situation now? Which situation?
I don't know. I just heard major stroke, which usually means not so good.
There was conflicting reports as of yesterday whether he was in a medically induced coma or not. That was only reported, I guess, on one place. His publisher said no, but it's still kind of up in the air. But yeah, it is not looking good.
Yeah, I know that we post on Monday, even though we record on Friday. I hope this is not outdated. So, our best wishes to Luke and his family, I suppose.
Have you seen that Riverdale show? I don't know. I think Sharon Doherty's, she's had a bunch of medical issues. Plus, she was kind of a nightmare, I guess. And she's always had that reputation.
Yeah, she's always had the motif of getting a hit show and then getting bored with it after a couple of seasons and just saying, all right, I'm going to self-destruct or move on or whatever.
Luke Perry, on the other hand, who never went back to reunions and other things like that. He's the dad of Archie's dad on the hit CW show Riverdale that has going into they're shooting season 3 now, I think. Wildly popular and successful, and good on him. But yeah, that's
It's scary, man. He's not an old guy either. I mean,
he's my age.
Strokes can happen to anybody.
Yeah.
So Keep eating those M&Ms, fatty.
Thanks. I actually keep the shaming going. I do appreciate that. And then
talking to me.
It's not on the rundown, but then the grandma from Who's the Boss has ceased to be, and you said the name as soon as I said it earlier. Now
I think it's Katherine Helmond.
And then it's funny because I had forgotten, and then management said, yeah, it was announced that like it came on the news when I was at the house that she had just passed away, and then the wife's like, yeah, she was also on Soap, and I'm like, oh my god, I can't believe that I completely have forgotten about Soap.
She was also the voice of the car in Cars, like the old Edsel.
Oh,
She was the voice of that. So I think that was like the last big thing that I remember seeing her credited for. But she was 89.
And then it's funny because that's a good run, unless you're 88. Then you're like, wait a minute. But yeah, Soap. I remember watching that. Like my neighbor's parents watched it and didn't tell us to leave the room when it was on. And I'm just thinking, wow, that was pretty pushing the envelope for a sitcom.
Oh yeah.
On regular TV.
It had a gay character.
What?
Yes.
That was what, 70? Without looking up, that's 78, 79.
Mm-hmm.
I don't.
Yeah,
maybe 80.
Crystal, yeah.
Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's Billy Crystal pre SNL, I think.
Yes.
Okay,
Well, he was only on SNL for the one season.
The one season,
yeah.
right?
But
Is that Gilbert? The same season as Gilbert?
No, that was the season after. That was the Eddie Murphy season. So rest in peace, Katherine Helmond. I will say though, as a kid growing up, I had two crushes. One was Alyssa Milano, and two was Katherine Helmond.
Really?
I had a thing for like Mona on it was
Mona?
Yeah, wasn't her name Mona?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not work.
Yeah, she because she was like the older, Gilfy. I don't know if you would call her a
I'm going to do the. You could. I'm going to do my entire rundown of the entire Who's the Boss. Mona, Angela, Mona, Angela,
Samantha, Mona.
and that was the entire series.
I think was it Billy Mirror?
It lasted 9 years. 300 episodes.
I like the episode of Family Guy where they had a parade, and one of the floats was the scene in which Tony walked in on Angela coming out of the shower, which was kind of an iconic scene, especially for the young lad sitting across from you right now.
You're welcome.
Yeah, my only wish was that it was Mona. Thank you. So rest in peace, Katherine Helmond.
Have you seen the show The Other Two on Comedy Central?
I don't think I've watched Comedy Central in several moons.
Okay. The show's totally gay. It's a totally gay show. And I bring it up, not so I can just talk about the gays. Our friend, Jimmy Fowley, is on this week's episode coming up.
Wow.
So, yeah, he posted the picture, which is a pretty gay picture.
I think I saw
on
it.
Twitter. Yeah. Like some kind of spandex, performancing circus act.
Good for him. Great.
Right. So I always feel bad. I should follow his career more because he does, big characters here and there and shows. He's done what was it? The baking shop one, the really hot girl from.
Oh, Two Broke Girls.
Two Broke Girls. He's done that.
Oh.
Yeah, but he also just did a Pepsi commercial. He was edited, sadly, out of the Super Bowl version, but it was in that same commercial with
the OK one
Ray,
with Steve Carell.
Steve Carell,
yeah,
right?
Where you have Lil Wayne going okay, and you have Cardi B going okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was one shot where he's the short order cook, and there's different versions of that. But anyways.
Is there an online version that we can see?
It's also on regular TV.
Oh, okay,
We've seen
great.
it a bunch of times.
All right, well, he's still key. He's not getting the Super Bowl residual, I guess, but he's, every time it plays,
oh, yeah.
an angel gets his wings.
And so Clarence, so I will watch the show. I guess it's called
The Other Two.
The Other Two. So Comedy Central. Anyways, that's it for that.
Good
Oscars.
on you, Jimmy Fowley. What?
Did you watch the Oscars?
Speaking of Oscars.
Wow.
Yeah, I watched the entirety of the Oscars. Yeah.
What do you think of the host?
I loved them all. It was great. I thought actually I think the consensus was, and I'm in agreement, that this Oscars moved pretty smoothly without a host.
100%.
Yeah.
When you think about Who was going to host it?
Kevin Hart.
It would have been the Kevin Hart show. It would have been
the Kevin Hart show. Yeah, right, for like the first
10 minutes.
10 minutes. But then I did like how Jimmy Kimmel did bits, although it does slow the fucking show down because he had the audience, like he had some weird bust in audience.
It was, that was a great moment. In this bus of tourists, anybody who's not been to LA in the Hollywood area, you've seen it in a billion movies, and it's a real thing. Like every street corner for about a 10-block radius around Highland, Hollywood and Highland, they have these bus tours. And you can, there's all kinds of different ones, but they hijacked a bus and just brought him into the middle of the Oscars, walked him right by the front.
Yep.
There was a great moment with Denzel Washington, but it was also, who was it? It was more politically charged. And
this Oscars.
No, the one with him, because it was at Glenn Close. Somebody was sitting right in the front who... The guy who lives at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, just a week or so before the Oscars, had said she's overrated. And
was it Meryl Streep?
I think it was Meryl Streep. But as they're he's pointing out to the tourists, it's like, this is this, this is this, this is this. That's Meryl Streep, but just keep moving. She's overrated, and play slots. And there was a couple, and I think they were from Chicago, lost their shit when they saw Denzel Washington. Absolutely lost their shit. If you haven't seen it, it's got to be like a top 10 moment all time. That said, it really flew. It was really a nice...
Yeah, so that was last year's Oscars. Now,
that's what I mean. This year's Oscar was no host. Great.
Oh yeah, it was fine. I was waiting, like everybody else, for the big duet between Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga because I liked the song.
Didn't it disappoint?
It did not disappoint, and of course, it was the highlight of the evening. Everybody was immediately presuming, oh yeah, they obviously had sex during the production of A Star Is Born.
They might be having sex right now.
Yeah. It was revealed that Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga had a hand in the presentation and the direction of that. Like, that wasn't the brainchild necessarily of the Oscars director. I think Bradley wanted to make it look more like a movie, so that's why you see them moving towards the front of the stage. They suddenly got the piano, they coming out of the audience, and you don't see the back of the stage. You only see the audience and them playing and singing at the piano. But since then, I have seen A Star Is Born.
And?
It's fine. I like it. It's a nice movie.
Fun fact that I did not know. It was a remake, yes?
Yes.
Of a remake?
Of a remake of a remake.
Of a remake.
Yeah.
This is the fourth one.
Yeah, the first one was in the 30s.
First one was in the 30s, like 38, about a woman, always kind of along the same line, a woman from, I want to say like North Dakota who dreamt about getting to Hollywood and making it and ends up hooking up with the biggest star at the time, who was an alcoholic, and it's basically their inverted paths. Like, one's on the way up and the other's on the way down. So I have no desire to see it, but that was a great moment.
It's not bad. I mean, it's surprisingly. I don't know. I was actually kind of disappointed in how formulaic it was, or how predictable it was for the most part. It was fine. It was like you could get invested in the characters and the performance and stuff. Lady Gaga, not a big Lady Gaga fan, like musically wise, but like anytime she sings, I'm listening. Like it's not like, oh my god, I click. No, like she's really good in this movie. So good for her for winning the Oscar. What were any other Oscar moments that jump out at you?
Yes, and it was great. And management. This is. I don't want to say it's her Super Bowl, but she's much more invested in this. Even though I don't think we've seen any of the movies, or I don't think we've seen any of the movies.
Yes, you have Spider-Man,
other than the obvious, and Black Panther.
Yeah, right.
And so
you didn't see Green Book?
I didn't. I would.
But go on.
But when this moment happened, her first reaction, and she put it on Twitter or she put it on Facebook, and within minutes I saw dozens of people putting the same thing up. In a completely unscripted moment, I forget who won. It was going up the steps, and there's no railing there, and she has a long and there he is, Captain America, being the Boy Scout he is, just lunges to his feet and helps her up, and but he didn't walk her all the way up and make it about him. It was a genuine, I'm just gonna give her my hunky arm and let her.
It was for literally 2 steps. Like he was sitting next to her or nearby, and she was kind of like wobbling, going up the stairs because of the ridiculous gown and get up that most of these actresses wear to the Oscars. But of course, people also chastised the Instapress report saying, look how gentlemanly. Oh no, I think it was Entertainment Weekly or EW.com said Chris Evans proves what a gentleman he is. And it's just like, the woman won the Oscar. Let's not make the article about, Captain America saving the damsel in distress on her way up.
In no way did he want to do that. You know what I mean? He was just genuinely being a decent person.
It has nothing to do against Chris Evans. It was more about people going, go on.
There was in the last Olympics, and I apologize, U.S. female athlete won a gold medal. And in the Chicago Sun-Times, she is the wife of a second-string lineman on the Bears. And the article was wife of second-string lineman on the Bears wins gold medal in this. And I don't know if it was the Onion had reported right after the Super Bowl. This is the Atlanta Super Bowl with the Patriots. Giselle Bundchen's husband wins 5th Super Bowl ring. And it was it is that stupid. This completely changing topic anyways that I didn't put on the list. Just want to talk about for 1 second. I'm a DC guy.
All right, that was a great topic.
I got a couple of DC tattoos. I live for Batman, more Nightwing, love Robin. Go down the fucking list.
Oh, I thought you meant Washington Monument.
But I also love, Marvel. And there's a movie coming out called Shazam, which we know, with Zachary Levi. And it's called Shazam. Back in the day, he used to be called Captain Marvel, and he said the magic word Shazam. And he got the powers from a wizard named Shazam, and he transformed into Billy Batson, became Captain Marvel. But over the time, and this was DC would create Owlman, and then they would create, it just went back and forth. Like Deadpool, like Slate Wilson, Wade Wilson, the Deathstroke Deadpool thing. Well, I guess a bunch of DC fans have gone on we're going to help Levi out and trash Miss Marvel before it comes out, to the point where Rotten Tomatoes has now changed. You can't rank a movie before it premieres anymore, any pre-screening stuff, because all these people who didn't go to pre-screenings just decided we're going to be, I don't know the right word, but
downvoting or trolling,
like social media warriors, on behalf of this, to the point where Zachary Levi had to come out and make a video and say, stop, you're not helping me, you're not helping the movie, and that movie can be great too. You can like both movies. You don't have to, you're not helping me, you're not helping DC, and you're being an asshole. So stop it. And I did. I posted a couple times on Twitter things like, fun fact, you can like Star Wars and Star Trek. You can like, U2 and the Beastie Boys. It's not one or the other. But anyways, I don't know even how I got on that topic.
No, I mean, it is very topical. Right. And the other thing about Captain Marvel that I learned about is that Captain Marvel, when it was on a DC character, Marvel wasn't Marvel yet.
Right.
And then when Marvel changed their name to Marvel, the Captain Marvel for DC, I don't know if that sort of went, it was shelved, or I don't know, maybe it lost its popularity or whatever. And then, so this is a brand new Captain Marvel for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Are there Captain Marvel comics that predate this movie for DC? I mean, for Marvel?
Yeah, and it was a guy, I think, if I remember. But either way,
it's almost like Green Lantern, right? Because whoever holds the
correct
rings or whatever the fuck has the power. All right.
Next topic: Lyft. The competition to Uber is going public this week, or announcing they're going public, which is crazy. How we talked about this before. them kids, the millennials, how many people like under 25, 30 don't drive? And, I had a conversation with one of the aides that comes in the morning to take care of my mom-in-law, who she has 2 children under 25. Neither one of them drive or want to. And Lowell is a city, and it does have a bus and stuff, and there is a train that you can get right to Boston. But it's not like living in New York or Boston where you can get everywhere. But then I started thinking, because I've used Uber in many countries and stuff like that. When I start doing the math, it's like, depends on how much you're going to use a car and car payments and gas and upkeep and insurance. I mean, you can't get away with a car for anything less. If you buy a car and have to pay $500-$600.
I mean, really, the only people who kind of need a car are people who live in the suburbs, who commute to work and have a decently paying job that will pay off your car payments. Because otherwise, it is sort of an albatross, And
one of the interesting, I don't know if it's sad, but it is just what it is. Going from one guy's school to the other, the 2 little guys get out almost the same time, like 2 miles apart. We go by a building that's all boarded up in Lowell that was in a nice old building that was a taxi company. When you just think, it's like, you feel bad. I mean, it's like, it's like the people, the carrier pigeon people who were put out of business when the teletype came by.
Oh, that cup of pizza guy.
Put the other one right out of business. But it's interesting that it's become that big where they're going public.
Yeah, and I'm sure that there will be more shady practices and things will happen, and then they'll come crumbling down, or Amazon will purchase them. So, I was walking out of a Whole Foods, and you walk by the Amazon line. I mean, it's all Amazon because Amazon bought Whole Foods, and it's just like, I'm not living in an Orwellian society. I'm not living in an Orwellian society. I am not living in a. No, I am not a Prime member. I am not living in an Orwellian. No, you do not need my phone number. Yeah. So anyway,
yeah, it's the Borg,
right? It's the resistance is futile,
and then you think, and we've talked about that, like the movie Wall-E,
yeah,
or Idiocracy, where there's the entire world is run by a couple companies, and that's it,
Brondo.
Oh, that's still so great. What is it? What's the salute? Like something like that.
Oh, I don't remember the salute. I just remember Costco was like where everything was. It was like, this is before Amazon, so how quaint. Costco, the big box store, was the overlord. But they have the greeter at the front of Costco. Welcome to Costco. I love you. Welcome to Costco. I love you.
We already did the open joke, but I'll do another one.
Uh-huh.
Joe, how many Vietnam vets does it take to screw in a light bulb? You don't know! You weren't there! Well, we went back to Vietnam this week. We collectively, as a country, and lost again.
We're 0-2.
Just can't win on the road, man.
Yeah, I know. They kind of, they got our number over there, and at least it was Donnie's first time.
Yeah. I was surprised the Bone Spurs didn't keep him from being able to go to Vietnam. Of all the places to go, like everything that piece of shit touches, he turns to shit. I mean, it's just. Go anywhere else except maybe the optics of going to the place that you avoided going.
He's got the wide ass touch,
and it's like just like the last time people said, these things are negotiated beforehand. So if the 2 leaders show up, it's the ceremonial, all the legwork's been done. Let's sign the document together, shake the hand, and take the historical photo. That's how those things are done.
Are you done with your rap? Because I kind of have like a little conspiracy theory that our friend Jim kind of posited.
Okay.
That how coincidental that the summit in the North Korean summit in Vietnam takes place on the same day of the Michael Cohen hearings.
What is that saying? A lot of work goes into making a coincidence.
Right. And so I mean, which came first? Like, what was scheduled first? And then wasn't Michael Cohen's hearing postponed a couple of times? And...
He was supposed to testify like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this summit came out of almost nowhere.
Right.
Look, this summit came out of, oh, fuck, I'm going to get the backlash for caving on the wall and the shutdown. I have to end the shutdown, but I need a win, right? Because he wants the win right now. It like tomorrow may not come, so I have to have a win every single day somehow. So as he knew,
but doesn't he get tired of winning?
all that winning, and right. So he hastily goes, and again, the biggest takeaway from the rest of the world is you keep legitimizing this dictator, this awful person who now has twice in a calendar year has sat at the table, like it or not, with the most powerful person in the world. And you are legitimizing him by doing so. And then you go out of your way by legitimizing him even more, saying the love letters he's been sending. It's just so creepy and weird.
Well, then also the denial that he knew anything, that Kim Jong-un knew anything about the murder of, who was it? It was a political prisoner?
I don't know. Otto, O-T-T-O,
Yeah.
Otto Warnberg or something like, young guy. And here's the thing. You know as much as anybody. Nothing goes on the air in Korea. Nothing goes on the radio. Nothing gets through the interwebs. Nothing goes on TV that isn't 100% run through the government.
It's a beautiful thing. Wait a minute.
And they did. They had this poor fuck, plead for his life at his sham trial. And I don't remember what the sham trial was or how he wound up there. But either way, he was pleading for his life. It was a big thing. It was like on the news every day over there. And for him to say, he said he knew nothing about it, I believe him. Well, you backtrack. It's like when his body came back, it's like the first thing, Blotus did was blame Obama. Of course, the first thing he did was because he was captured while Obama was over there.
Yeah.
And so, he had bonded with the family and said, if I was president, this wouldn't have happened then, and this is horrible. And said it was awful, and now he's saying, oh, he knew nothing about it. Those prisons are just really tough. And again, you are going against the word of every intelligent agent. Putin told me he had nothing to do with the election. There's just so many. You go down the list. He will always side with the
Saudi Arabian leader.
That was it. I knew there was another thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was, I was thinking, it's like, the Crown Prince said he had nothing to do with the coach. Anyways, he's just a piece of shit. And now you've already brought it up. So let's talk about this week's highlight in life. Did you spend much time on the Cohen hearing?
No.
Did you follow up the recaps or listen to anything, or you just get the greatest? The greatest hits.
I saw the AOC grilling for about 6 minutes, 4 minutes, something like that of Cohen. It was, she grilled him on like how Trump may have been avoiding taxes on his $50 million golf course by devaluing it to just a $5 million golf course, which sort of, I guess, is teeing up, show us your tax returns, Mr. President. To which I kind of said internally, good luck with that. Because that's like number 250 on the list of things that we want to get Donnie on.
Well, my biggest takeaways or the fun ones. Let's start with the fun ones. The fact that here's Michael Cohen, a piece of shit. He's not a good guy all of a sudden. You know what I mean? It's like he's not like, just because this is the worst president in the history of the world, and we are living in the chapter 1 of a dystopian, future novel, doesn't mean that George W. was a good guy and a good president and a decent human being. No, that doesn't excuse it. Because Michael Cohen is working with the investigators, which is he's going to prison for lying to Congress and all these things, and now he's coming clean. It doesn't make him a good guy. However, he is the only one who has testified in front of Congress under oath. None of these other people. Flynn hasn't come in there. Manafort, you go down the list. He's the only one who's come in. And not only has he come in, he's come in under oath. He's going to jail for lying to them. He could face other charges. He's still facing, one of the things about the Mueller investigation with people like Flynn, with people like Cohen, with Manafort, they've worked closely with prosecutors, state prosecutors, that you can't pardon out of state crime. So there are still things that he could face more problems if he lied, So he has nothing to lose. He really, and whether he had this conscious awakening where he's like, I thought he'd be a great president, and he actually is doing some good things. It's like he's an awful person doing more awful things, and I bear witness to them, and I've participated, such as writing threatening letters and threatening the SAT boards in his colleges and to not really. It's like you're already fucking president. Who the it's almost like one of those things where it's like, yeah, I did shitty in college, and look at me now, motherfuckers. It's like, but he can't for 1 second allow himself to be seen. And I'm not kidding when I say this. When you hear the stories about, why people from North Korea don't defect, why there aren't more defections, even if they could defect, which he really can't, and it's like, oh, he's this great leader. And I forget the backstory of Kim Jong-un's father. It was like
Kim Jong-il.
His last, it sounds like a rap name, but he, I forget. It was like some ordained, birthed by a dragon type crazies, but people believe it because that's all they know. Mm-hmm. And literally, that's what Trump wants. He literally wants you to believe that, and there are the guy who, the pillow guy that you always see on Twitter.
MyPillow.com.
Yeah, that guy thinks that he's been chosen
ordained by God.
Ordained by God. And Hillary was ordained by God to win the popular vote by 3 million people. But anyways, that was the interesting thing is like he wrote all these letters to his undergrad, his graduate school, the SATs. I don't know if he went back to his kindergarten teacher, but he also said, he wrote threatening letters to his doctors and stuff like that. My other favorite thing was I've known, and we've talked about on this podcast, that through the Trump the Trump charity organization, bought a very expensive picture of him once, that it turned out it wasn't going to be that expensive, but it was at an auction where Trump had to make sure it was the highest bid item at the auction. So they brought in strawmen to put in fake bids to drive up the price of a picture. What sadistic kind of sad, never hugged by your dad motherfucker is this fuck?
Yeah, I think I heard. Did he write a threatening letter to his dad because he didn't hug him?
No. He was too busy trying to expunge his dad's record of getting arrested at a Klan rally in New York in 1928.
Yeah, right.
The more you know. So that was it. I mean, and that's the stuff that we heard. That was the one day of public testimony. What was interesting, of course, it was partisan. The Republicans came out, and rightfully so, everybody who questioned them, it's like, you're a lying piece of shit. Why would we believe you now? Not once did any of them mention Trump by name or, okay, it's one of those things, It's like, it's the situation. Jumping ahead was like the Robert Kraft thing. It's like, he will probably, I almost said get off on this, but he will probably be found, he will not be found guilty of this, I don't think. Doesn't mean he didn't do the crime, and all these people are twisting, themselves into pretzels to say, well, Michael Cohen, you did all these awful things, and yes, here's all this paperwork, and here's this stuff, and go down the list, and you're a piece of shit, and we should. But none of them are saying, yeah, we don't believe that you or this or anything. That was fun.
Yeah, that's the Republicans trying to,
But what aren't we hearing behind the closed doors? And that's the interesting stuff. What's the question? What are the questionings that he's getting that they don't want going into the public sphere right now?
Does he really have a mushroom dick?
So on that note, the one last takeaway I want to do. Did you follow the "I'm not a racist, I know a black person" thing? Which
No.
Okay, so we say, I'm not lumping you into this. I say this stuff all the time. It's like, I can't be racist. My wife's, Korean. I can't be racist because, allegedly my dad was from Cuba. I can't be. And you go down this, and there was a guy who, I forget her name, freshman congresswoman,
Oh, is it Elisa? Oh, the woman from Massachusetts.
I think so.
Yeah, she's like from the Michael. She's from Michael Capuano's district. She lost to Michael Capuano. Lost to her. You talking? Oh God, Presley, right?
I think so. And
you don't know because they all look alike to you. God damn it!
So true.
Come prepared.
So true. But it went back and forth where she was saying what a racist Trump is, because here's Michael Cohen saying Charlottesville. Going down the list of the times he said racist things and been a racist.
Yeah.
And so, Mark Meadows, no relation to
Tim.
Rachel.
Oh.
I don't know.
Well, Rachel. Tim Meadows is a black guy.
Oh. Well, that was great because he said, it's like, I have black people in my family. It's like, or I have black nephews. It's like, 'cause your brother banged a black chick doesn't mean you can't be a racist. You might be more of a racist because of that. But it was great. And he demanded an apology, and it disrupted the whole proceedings. And, they brought out a woman who works in the Trump administration that I guess Michael Cohen got the job to stand behind him and say, do you know who this woman is? Do you know that she works for Trump? How can he be a racist if, how can he be a racist if he has a black woman working in a minor level in the organization? Like if he hated black people, why would all his lawn jockeys be black, you asshole? So anyways, he makes a big thing about I'm not being a racist, but he is a big racist. And all these campaign speeches came out the very next day, lo and behold, in 2012, when he was first running for his office. His main objective was to send Obama back to Kenya. Like, that's the platform that he ran on. It's not like, okay, he mentioned it in passing at a urinal at some rich white guy country club thing. Here's a mic. Here's the people you're trying to get to vote for you.
It's on a teleprompter.
Right.
I'm reading a speech about how the president should be sent back to the country in which he was not born.
And not once, but many times that was his thing. Some people run on clean energy or a wall that Mexico's going to pay for. He was running on the platform of what was the black guy doing in the White House anyways.
Yeah. See, I say the same thing about you. Like, you can't be a racist because you tell racist jokes.
Right. Yes. Thank you.
What's your favorite black joke?
Oh, my favorite black joke. What do you...
What? How does every black joke start?
That's a great one for radio. But yeah, it just... You can't defend the indefensible. Now... Anyways, but it was fun. It was a hearing. It's theater more than anything.
Yeah.
All this shit is for people like me who enjoy this. And the Rachel Maddows,
it's to drum up support from your base, whatever your base is.
Right. And we'll see what happens if when the Mueller report surfaces. I do think it does open other avenues because there's now paper trails. There is paper trails where, and then we've talked about it at length, and I won't get into it. Deutsche Bank is the only bank that had given him money in the last 20 years. And
why? What's wrong with Deutsche Bank?
And he, the one owned by a Russian oligarch that's under sanctions from the U.S. Other than that, and the only Michael Cohen had brought in like 3 years of financial. He had all the financial documents from Trump that were given to Michael Cohen to go to Forbes and say, get an article about how rich I am, and show him all these things where they value properties that, like, the state of New York went in and he had a property that was valued at $20 million that they valued for. They added an extra digit. They made it like a $250 million. But it's not just inflating his ego. This went to use to get loans. And that kind of fraudulent inflating of your assets is exactly what Michael Cohen is part of why he is going to jail.
It's funny how you can fraudulently both inflate the value of your assets and fraudulently devalue so that you don't have to pay as much tax. But that's just him being smart. I'm smart.
So
That's all like everybody says.
This is part of the show where no, I'm not good at segues.
Okay.
Like riding those wheels or going from one topic to the other.
Uh-huh.
This is the part of the show which we've come to know and love as self-indulgent theater. And this week's Joe's self-indulgent moment is
silence. We were going to go in with some lame Bernie Sanders deal, but I don't know. I wasn't feeling it. So for some reason, we're bringing it up, and here we are. So instead of just ignoring it completely and letting it slide.
You can always edit it out.
I could. I might. I don't know.
You might not.
I might not.
But here is Joe's self-indulgent theater. Might be the best one yet.
And now our defunct sponsor of the week.
What happened?
What happened?
If you missed any episodes of Soap, now's your chance to catch up on the comedy hit of the season.
Hello.
Blow it out your ears.
Parental discretion is advised.
Summer surprise, eh?
Find out how they got that way in a special hour of Soap. Then Mom moves in and sparks start to fly.
Mother.
Angela?
You still remember each other's names?
Who's the Boss? All starting at 8/7 Central. Tuesday.
Okay, on to sport. So we'll start at the top. It's been a week since Robert Kraft has been implicated in the now infamous rub and tug scandal, the tailgate.
Orchids of Asia.
What the fuck is a table shower? Because like that, yeah, like all these pictures that like the wife came home because the radio station she listens to. Like the host actually went down there and was taking pictures in front. They haven't like thrown a tarp over it yet or boarded up the place. And the list of services they had, like one of them's a table shower. Now,
is that something Danny Thomas would have partaken in?
Or Russian prostitutes with bloaters, but yeah, either way, hard pass. So a bunch of people have been arrested, over 150. Fun fact, 77-year-old Robert Kraft, not close to being the oldest one.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, come on. At some point, you're going to have to pay for it.
No, I'm saying, I am not judging. And again, the whether it's not misreporting. It was the police standing at the podium, saying this is a bust of a big sex ring, sex trafficking, human trafficking thing. The owners of the place have been arrested, charged with a plethora of things. Nobody has been labeled as a sex trafficker or a human trafficker. Like not one. Like they've been cited for a dozen different, felonies.
Well,
like
they're the traffickees because they're accepting the women who are being trafficked.
But that's the whole thing. I mean, if the story is just Robert Kraft went in and got a rub and a tug, it's embarrassing, but now it's like his name is linked with sex trafficking on a major level. You can't Google sex trafficking and the first 1 million things that come up literally are Robert Kraft's,
Give it a week.
Right. Well, and now they've had all the legal experts, the dream team of legal people on all kinds of different shows, basically breaking down the procedural things that may not have been copacetic with the police and all these other things. And it also looks like this may have been a sting to get Robert Kraft. Like those cameras were put in just the day before, I guess. Yeah. Like, did they in their investigation know that he goes there on a regular basis? Did they was it to get him and a couple of the other big rollers who come in? But
so wait, they set up cameras just for Robert Kraft and then just happened to also catch an extra 100?
Well, no. I mean, I don't know what those places do for business a day. Do they have
this was like months long investigation.
Right, but the days right. So they might have known he was going in there.
You think the camera installation was the piece de resistance?
Well, it was like, hey, we can really we don't cycle out of the news in 10 minutes if we have a huge name attached to this. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how it shakes.
I just picture like Janine from Ghostbusters going, "We got one," and then hitting the buzzer when they see a video of Robert Kraft getting stroked. No,
and I guess one of the procedural things that they're saying might hurt them. Driving away, he had a driver. got pulled over, but didn't run a red light, a stoplight, just got pulled over and took his license and asked for the passenger's license. Like, why? I mean,
Probably because of the sting operation.
right, well, that's it. But Robert Kraft didn't have to give him his license. And that's one of the things I'd be like, no, I'm not.
Are you saying that Robert Kraft is a little naive? Like, first of all, A, you're a billionaire and you're going to a $70 hand job spot in Jupiter, Florida. Okay. Secondly, you're just handing out licenses to any cop that asks you for one? What are you, an idiot?
Apparently.
I don't know. Maybe he's just talk about, living in your white bubble. He doesn't know not to, to maybe challenge authority. But it'll still be a misdemeanor charge, and he asked for I think his lawyers asked for one of those no-show trials or no jury trials. There was like a no jury trial. We'll see how that goes. But again, it's a slap on the wrist, which I think is only $25.
Slap on the wrist? No, it's a real thing for him.
Oh no, I meant the cost of getting one.
Shut
up.
No. What's going to cost him is even if he gets acquitted, charges dismissed, whatever, the NFL, it's one of those things where under the guise of protecting the shield and the image, he could still be facing a 6-game, suspension for, which again, I'm still in the admit guilt, apologize, keep the money thing because it goes away a lot faster, but we'll see.
You think Roger Goodell might have a little bit of something to, maybe some incentive to maybe push this thing a little harder against Robert Kraft?
I mean, if he gets suspended, do the Patriots not raise the banner on their home opener, week 1?
No, they will. Why would they not? I mean, it's
the owner of the team's not there.
Yeah, understandably, but I mean that's giving way too much gravity to the situation. They just have to go business as usual, Just play by the way, and Kraft would probably want it that way anyway. They would we're not going to raise the banner until Robert Kraft comes back.
No, he would want that. He wants all the.
Why don't they just raise it halfway and then wait until
that fly at half mast?
Yeah.
Now, while we're talking about football,
Were we?
State of No, we weren't. The state of Massachusetts, the state Senate has put forth legislation on banning tackle football before high school.
Great.
I agree.
Yeah.
100%.
Like, what kind of monsters want to see fucking 5-year-olds beat the shit out of each other and pile on each other? I mean, that's like, and what good does that do except build character?
I mean, there was an awful reality show that got pulled pretty quick a few years ago. I'll look it up and maybe post it. But it was some...
Was it like Hard Knocks Pee Wee football?
Well, it was in the state of Texas, and it was like each coach was almost auditioning to get like an assistant coaching job at like a junior college by telling these 6-year-olds awful things. It's like, when you hit him, you make sure he doesn't get up, and meaning and screaming at kids and stuff. Like, dude, it's like, if you're a good athlete, and I've said this before with my kids, I mean, I have no idea how many concussions I have. I played tackle football when I was in like the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade.
You know why you don't know?
Because I've played tackle football.
On account of the concussions.
I mean, all the kickboxing, all the hockey and this. And with my guys, it's like any sport that they want to do, I'm all for it, but they did like flag football. That you can get hurt doing anything. I get it. Yeah. I get it. But you can also, you don't need to.
You can minimize the risk. It's unnecessary, really. I mean, we're smart enough now to know that hitting your head against something, especially when you're a little kid, hurts and has lasting effects. We know about CTE.
I mean, if you're look, the guys who may not have known who are really suffering, the people who played football before, let's say, the past 10 years. But really, if you've been playing football 20 years, if you're in high school now and your goal is to go to college and to go to the pros, bless you, and I wish you the best of luck. You can't really turn around in 30 years and sue the NFL because you didn't know you could wind up like this. Mm-hmm. And I'm not talking a freak accident where you break your spine or something on a play. That could happen in flag football. You fall the wrong way. It can. But I'm not going to have the same sympathy that I do for people trying to play the sport now because you know better.
I'm suing, the cigarette companies because of all those years that I smoked,
Right.
and I had no idea. Yeah. Let's see. Let's see if we can guess which state will be the last to ban
Texas.
No.
No?
I'm gonna say Alabama. I mean, Texas is huge, but
Football
Texas is big in football. Football is big in Texas, but Texas is slightly more progressive than the other southern states. So I'm gonna think Alabama, Mississippi.
Yeah. I mean, but it has to get there. I think at one point.
200 years from now is the point.
Yeah. Well, it always takes place. The little snowflake blue. But I mean, my thought always has been the same. It's like if my boys want to play a sport like that, they're in sports now. If they understand the games and the fundamentals that you can get through the flag footballs or any of these things, I wouldn't even want them playing. I'm not bummed that they don't want to play hockey. I really.
They'll all be playing VR football in 10 years anyway.
Right. So, but I thought that was interesting that
It is.
actually legislation has, because people have been talking about it for years. And it's like,
But think about those poor helmet manufacturers for the Pee Wee football that are going to go out of business.
We talked about this the other day or last week that my oldest guy has gotten into Adam Ruins Everything, and one of the episodes was about football and about helmets, and that's the thing. It's like the greatest helmet in the world will not stop a concussion. That unless you put a helmet inside your skull, you cannot stop concussions.
We are working on that,
and we know that now. I'm going to talk baseball for just a second. And it's just, neither one of us are big baseball guys. And we talked briefly how some huge free agents haven't been signed. Well, this guy, Bryce Harper, just got some crazy $330 million, 13-year, which think about it. If you had a baby right now, they'd be going into high school when this contract ends. But all the fun facts that people are comparing it to, and I knew this, but I forgot I knew this. There was a guy named Bobby Bonilla with the Mets who was a good player in the 80s and 90s who signed one of these ridiculous big contracts for the time, at the time. And it was like a $6 million. He had $6 million due in the year 2000. His agent, it comes from an insurance agent background, the Mets didn't want to pay him $5 million. So they basically structured a deal where starting in the year 2011, they would pay out that $6 million a year
in annuities
at 8% interest, which means I think it's on May or March 1st, every year since 2001, gets like a $1.9 million check that will continue to 2035. So Bryce Harper just signed an unthinkable 13-year deal, which means in 2032, when that contract's up, Bobby Bonilla will still be getting paid by the Mets, though the last time he wore a Met uniform as a player, maybe he wears one in the living room.
They may be paying his estate. Let's get real.
How fucked up is that?
Right.
It's like, we don't have this $5 million to pay you now, but we will pay you $1 million a year for the next 35.
I would gladly pay you $20.35 for some baseball today.
I'm trying not to get too me and overexcited. I can tend to be a little overexcitable about this.
You?
I know. Because of the Red Sox in October that carries through November, because of the drama with the Patriots all the way through the season, it's been getting overlooked that the Bruins have been having a decent season up until about the first of the year. Now they are so fucking good, on fire, and they've in the month of February, they didn't lose in regulation. They're 11-0-2. And, for a possible 26 points in the standings, they got 24. They just went on a 5-game road trip in which they've never beaten the 3 California teams on one road trip. 3 for 3 in California, beat the Golden Knights, and I forget who they tied, but they went, St. Louis.
No, Navin Johnson. Isn't that our thing?
Every time, I will love that. But they go on this big road trip, come back with 9 out of possible 10 points. Like there's a couple teams that are doing better than them, and the Lightning are on pace to have the most points in the history of hockey.
And by the way, don't think that I'm like a big hockey guy now because I just pulled the Lightning out of my ass. I'm looking at the standings, and they're leading the Atlantic Division by 20 points, almost 20 points.
But that's who the Bruins beat last night, 4-1.
Yep.
Amazingly, convincingly. When they went to St. Louis was on an 11-game win streak. They haven't won in Washington in like close to a decade. They can't beat the Capitals in Washington, and they beat them a few weeks back 1-0. I mean, since the beginning of the year, the Bruins have hands down the best record in hockey, and they made a couple. I mean, minor upgrades at the trade deadline. The way they traded a couple C+ students for a couple B- students, but an upgrade's an upgrade. And I'm trying not to get too excitable, not trying to get too much me, but it's been fun to watch them. They've beaten the best teams at home, on the road. I'm not going to say we're going to have our third Duck Boat Parade come June, but I wouldn't be surprised if we have our third Duck Boat Parade.
What do you
June.
care? You're not going.
If
right, because it's in June.
Because it's in June, and if it worked out like it did last time, it was on a Saturday. It was a gorgeous day,
Yeah.
But
I'm also learning more about hockey. Did you know there's a team called the Predators?
I did.
Well, how about that?
I've actually worked an anthem with the Predators.
Wow.
They're in Nashville.
Mm-hmm. Nashville has a team now. Good for them.
They've had a team for a while, and crazy enough, wildly popular.
Who are the Golden Knights?
That is the team in Vegas.
Oh, right.
The team that in their first year.
Reason, I thought they were the Wild for some reason. No, I remember the Vegas Golden Knights.
Got to the Stanley Cup Finals, yeah.
Well, I'm an idiot. The Blue Jackets.
Yep, Columbus.
Columbus, Ohio or Georgia?
The one that's
you see this little thing
round
next
on
to
the ends
city?
and high in the middle.
See this thing next to the city? That's called a state. You have this as a 2-day trip when Columbus is only one. That's because this is going to Columbus, Georgia, not Columbus, Ohio. I know you just like to sit around and not be slim. When's our Chris Farley sideshow?
We could do it today. I was reading some stuff and watching some old clips. It's like when it comes down to the last two people for the job with Chippendale and then Patrick Swayze.
Did you ever see the bit where he did the Tom Arnold had an HBO comedy special, and Chris Farley was showing him how to be like the cool guy and how to talk to girls and all that stuff. And he's in a mall with Tom Arnold, Chris Farley is, and then all of a sudden he sees just two, regular women walk by, and you just hear him yelling, "Holy shit!" And the women just jump right out of their skin. Things you can't do today, but damn, were they funny back then.
I mean, and it's one of those things where we've talked about the things we quote every day, and management and I, you and I have so many things that, we just quote between each other.
Nathan Johnson.
St. Louis, end of this fence. But one of the big ones with the wife and I is every single time either one of us is eating French fries. You eating fries? I thought you wanted to diet. Lay off!
Lay off me, I'm starving.
Every single time.
I love French fries.
The Gap Girls.
Right.
Yeah, so
lay off. And then if you're putting ketchup on it, and you're squirting it out of the packet, I can actually hear you getting fatter. Oh, there's a quote for everything, Chris.
There is. So let's move into the video game realm. What are you playing this week?
Not a whole lot. Kind of taking it easy.
Tetris? You still on Tetris?
A little bit of Tetris. Oh my God. I'm not going to ever consider live streaming me playing a game ever in my life, because the stuff that flies out of my mouth when I I have a love-hate relationship with video games. I love it because it wastes so much time. It kills so much time. It eases the pace.
I could have cured cancer 3 times over.
Oh, dude. I mean, I was using the PS4 just to watch something the other night, and I see that you're on, and I can see your activity, which is kind of creepy. Like, I can see you've won 7 trophies, and like every day, like I can see every time you achieve something in a video game, it logs it and then it reports it to your friends.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know. I think you can turn that off, so maybe you can look into that. I think I did that for myself. But as far as playing video games, yeah, Tetris 99 was kind of the go-to for now. But I've watched videos about this guy who gets like 20 wins in a row, like 20 number ones in a row. Like this guy's a fucking and he's using the Switch controllers in reverse. So you typically control with your left hand and then like put the buttons on your right hand. He switched it so that the controls are in his right hand and he pushes the buttons with his left. And he's fucking going for it.
Like Jimi Hendrix playing a right-handed guitar left-handed by turning it upside down.
Right. Yeah. I mean, this guy was like pinball wizard except for Tetris. I don't know how deaf and dumb deaf and blind he was, but
I'm still on Resident Evil Hardcore. Got 7 trophies the other day. I don't know if you've noticed. Apparently you have. I got the trophy. There's one trophy that popped up, and I had to look it up after because I don't go and look what the trophies are.
The action figure one? They're called action figures?
No.
Oh, okay.
It's it's like a green trophy for like carbon footprint, lowest carbon footprint.
Oh.
Like you can only do you have to do the whole game in under 14,000 steps. And it doesn't tell you. There's no like step counter that the character doesn't have like a Fitbit on. But if you're doing the speed runs, like instead of going the simplest way around where zombies are, you can cut through this office, but it's 50-50 if you're going to be grabbed by a zombie.
Yeah.
But it's a shorter path. And like it popped up at the end. I'm like, I had to look that up. But that said, I'm playing a lot of Resident Evil.
And then I tweeted to you that the Switch announced that 3 Resident Evil classic games are coming out on the Switch.
No.
And you're like, he's like, now do I have to buy a second Switch? And I said, it's coming out in May, so you got time to save.
Because I feel bad because one of the little guys wants to play the Switch, and the oldest one is also really into Resident Evil 2. And it's like, do I really have to buy another PS4 so he can have his and I can just do mine? And you can't. I can't do that.
That's ridiculous.
Because I have so little time to actually play. But that's always the thing. It's like
not according to what I've been seeing, mister.
No, he's on. I mean, he's
okay,
because he had a snow day this week, so he was on a lot.
So maybe that's what I'm seeing. I don't know. Maybe because I'm seeing activity. Does he
Both.
log into you?
Yeah, because that's the whole thing. It's
right, because it's the
he actually wanted to go back and play 6 the other day because you can do a split screen and play the story mode together, but you have to log in as a different user. Like it can't both be logged in as me.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, so maybe I should. No, you're not getting your own account when you get to grad school. I'm not even letting you get it when you go to college.
When the PS6 comes out.
When you were talking about the guy who keeps winning at Tetris. I watch these guys do these speed runs, and it's so frustrating. It's like I will watch relentlessly. It's like, how the fuck do these guys do it? And I don't know if this might be horrible to say, and you can tell me, hey, that's a horrible thing to say. Most of these guys are like, I think, idiot savantish.
Yeah, like they're kind of autistic.
Almost. Right, okay, thank you. I was going to say that.
Because you have to be laser fucking focused. Like, it's almost like, Derek Jeter is probably autistic when it comes to baseball. But he's not autistic when it comes to, banging hot chicks. So he has that going for him. Unfortunately, in the video game realm, that's kind of the only way to go.
I watch the same guy do a speed run at the hardest level. And I'm like, okay, I will do it on the easiest level. And he'll do the whole game and he got so jazzed up because he was the first one in the world. Because it's crazy. I mean, and I think the most gamers play on a PC. Mm-hmm. I think, he's not on a PS4. And he has this little stat bar that shows his best time for this, like, maybe there's 15 places in the game that I don't know if he's predetermined, so he can tell if he's a second above this time.
Well, it's like when you're running a marathon and they have like those mile markers.
And so he knows on mile 5, he went from mile 4 to mile 5 1 second less than his best record. Oh, mile 6, mile 7, he's 1 second over.
Yeah.
And I'm watching. It's like when you run from point A to point B. You're running as fast as you can, but 7 seconds through this 9-second run, you have to just slightly go to the right for a nanosecond because his hand's going to try to grab you from under. And I mean, if you blink, you miss it. And it's like, and if you get grabbed, the guy doesn't grab you long, but it takes a half a second to get away from this guy.
Yeah.
Throws off the whole run. And I'm looking at that. It's like, oh my fucking God, no matter how many times I played this, I will never.
Right, because you have to sort of learn the language of the game and the rhythm of the game and the music of the game and everything. It's all symbiotic, and it's all. It's like I've placed, like I said in Tetris, like second place, first loser, as you like to say. And now, since seeing the guy's video where he keeps getting win after win, there's strategies involved, like how to stack, the quickness in which he stacks the blocks and the efficiency in which the blocks are used, and the strategy of getting like that one empty column in the middle so that you can put the Tetris bar in there, and then also stacking the blocks in Tetris so that you can do with the T block, the one shaped like a T, you can do these things called T spins, where you tuck, like at the last second, you kind of swivel the T block into the space that fills the gap perfectly, but it has to be set up. Like you can construct those, and then those are worth more, and they give more junk to your opponents. And I'm like, and I'm trying now. I don't know how to play Tetris anymore because what I've been doing apparently is not good enough. I mean, it's good enough to get to second place, but it's not good enough to get to first place. Either that, or I have to go on when like that guy isn't playing.
I went through this thing where I get to the final boss fight, and I am saving all these flash grenades and hand grenades for this final boss fight, which I couldn't do. And it's like I've played the game for 2.5 hours, and like fuck it, I didn't go into this last fight with enough of this ammunition. Start the game all over again, and hopefully learn to economize it. I couldn't do it. And then I'm like, that's when I broke down. I'm like, fine, I'm going to watch a speed run thing. I'm going to cheat and see how this guy does it.
Right.
Goes in with a fucking butter knife. Like, literally. It's like the first weapon you get, the easiest thing in the world. He gets this knife so he can cut through duct tape to open a junction box to turn power on a room early in the game. And that's the only thing this fucker had to take on this unbeatable thing that I honestly, and it locked it. I shot with 200 bullets. I hit with the shotgun like 40 times. I threw 5 grenades at it. I did the flash grenade. And this motherfucker goes in there. And I'm like, well, I really want to be good at the game. But it's like, I realize the chances of me losing a few pounds and going to the stick time every week for the next Thursday, and a Bruin scout seeing me late April and offering me a roster to come and play on the playoffs is more probable than being this artistic fuck who goes in with a butter knife and takes down this unbeatable force.
I mean, we're looking at this probably a little all wrong. Like, it's almost like going out in the backyard and you're trying to throw strike after strike after strike. It's like, fuck, I can't get it. You know what? Let me go online and then watch old Greg Maddux videos. And let me see how he does it. It's like, no, it doesn't work. Well, it's a little unfair because, Greg Maddux has been playing baseball since he learned how to throw.
That for me might not be the right thing, because with me, it's strikeout, strikeout, strikeout. No matter how many girls I hit on the bar, strikeout.
Thought you were talking about your stand-up.
Oh. Thank you for that. Okay, now, video game review of the week.
Oh, we're doing that. All right. For those of you who are starving for even more video game talk, we're going to look at a Sega Genesis game. Yeah. Because Genesis does what Nintendo don't. Sega Genesis.
Say it again.
Sega.
Like I don't even know you.
The lights shining brightly. The stars at night are big and bright. Deep in the heart of Texas. It's not Wheel of...
There is no basement in the Alamo.
I'm trying to use the phone! It's not Wheel of Fortune. What could it be? Is it like the Chester Cheetah game? Is it like Wild something? I don't know. I give up. I don't really know my Sega Genesis collection that well. Oh, Winter Olympic Games. Look at this. Lillehammer 1994. This is a game. Ain't it?
You've never played it.
Of course not. First of all, it's the Olympics. And it's not track and field, so why would I bother?
Does it have the luge?
Does it have the luge?
84 was that the year? Cool Running, was that the year that Jamaica had the bobsled team?
The Jamaican bobsled team. I think that was in the 90. I think this was 92.
Okay,
because this was the year where the Winter Olympics split. So they had
that the Eddie the Eagle year?
I don't know.
The and it's great because it happened this last Olympic too. A guy found a woman. I forget the sport that they qualified this Olympic. With this guy Eddie the Eagle, qualified in ski jumping, and he wasn't a professional ski jumper. And it's like, but he figured out you have to place in X amount of competitions to like make it and stuff like that. So if he went and just jumped and people were going for high scores and doing tricks and wiped out, he would always finish in like. Never the top 10, but never out of the top 20 and stuff like that.
As long as he crossed the finish line, and as long as he got in there. Yeah, he gamed the system. Good for him. Well, in this game, we don't have a book to reference for a professional review, but you can play games such as the biathlon, speed skating, bobsleigh. It does say bobsleigh, not bobsled, which is weird.
The translations don't always.
Yeah, downhill, moguls, ski jump, 16 countries to represent, including Canada, United States, France, and Japan. 8 languages. Compete with 1 to 4 players. Which the 4-player, I think you needed an adapter for the Sega Genesis. And yeah, it's based on the 1994 Lillehammer Olympic Winter Games, and it came with 16 megs of power. Good for this game.
If you didn't own it and wanted to?
$4.
I knew you were pretty close.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, $3.91.
$3.91.
Yeah, I mean, it's this one doesn't have the manual, but what I do like about the old Sega Genesis cartridges was the keep case, like the plastic case.
That's a pretty
it was a clamshell case,
solid.
Yeah, it has a little insert for your video game and manual, and you don't throw the box away, and it's it although it's a lot of fucking plastic, but it's the 90s. Who gives a shit? Actually, we do. We started giving a shit around the 90s for wasting plastic. But here it is. It's a Sega Genesis game, and I will not be playing it ever.
What are you watching?
Like
Get Fatter.
A Star Was Born was what I saw recently. Did I mention I watched The Orville last week?
You started to, yeah.
Yeah, like I caught up with it, and except for this week's episode, which was the second part of a 2-part episode, so I haven't seen that yet. But that, what else have I been watching? I watched I don't know, I've been kind of vegging out. I'll watch like the Goldbergs. Like I kind of fall into that Wednesday night was it Wednesday night or Thursday night? Yeah, it was last night. Yeah, because that's when they have Modern Family come on, and they have the 90s spin-off of the Goldbergs called Schooled with Tim Meadows as the principal.
One.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun,
It's fun.
It's light, and it moves, it's got the references in there. But yeah, like this episode of the Goldbergs was based on Perfect Strangers, because they have a Russian cousin that comes and stays with them, and the grandfather, his parents came from Russia, and this is one of their cousins, and so they use him to like sign up for credit cards and to buy stuff. So like it's the funniest montage because they're watching Perfect Strangers and they get the idea to use him as their Balky. So they they're being told by the grandfather, go out and have a good time and show them America. and it's just like standing tall, and you see them like having him sign like credit card applications and then buying a crossbow. And then, so it's a funny episode. And yeah, the Goldbergs, I think you said this before, you don't watch it regularly, but you've never seen a Goldbergs episode that wasn't great, in your opinion.
I stand by it.
Right. And then it's funny. And it's I wish there was an unedited version because Beverly Goldberg.
There is. They're online all the time.
Okay.
Like I saw on Twitter the other day.
Was it the Not Safe for Work?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't see that yet.
So great.
I got to watch that. Yeah.
I battled with the boys because my boys are young. And what's the right way to say? Fucking stupid. They think Murray is a bad dad. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Murray is the greatest dad.
Yeah.
It's like, and it's like, I identify with Murray. You know what I mean? It's like, well, first of all, his kids are idiots. Let's start with that. He worked his ass off. The kids are idiots. He does all these things. When I go down the list.
Yeah, you do the same thing. Like as soon as you come home, pants come off.
Every single, like, it's funny because now it's like when the boys see me in pants on, they're like, "Do you have a meeting today?"
Are you going to court?
Right. What did you do? Did you get a table shower?
Oh man, but so I've been watching kind of whatever, nothing major. But what about you? What have you been watching that isn't Resident Evil?
Nothing.
Related? Oh, God.
No, that's not true. I've watched 3 Bruins games since we last talked.
Look at you.
Um,
Any more Umbrella Chronicles or anything like that?
We finished the series. Great.
Yeah.
And you haven't seen any, right?
I have.
Okay.
I probably won't.
No, it's great. It really is.
There's just too much TV.
It really is.
I have to draw the line.
It really is. So I'll just tell you all about it. No, it's fun. I don't know if it's going to get picked up for a second season, but it ended. It's like it ended where it ended, and it could. The show could end.
You're right. It could go either way. It's a little bit of an open door, but it's a nice way to end it if it gets canceled.
Right. It's a sci-fi thing. It's like they could go off to a time loop and live it all again, or go to a different place. I'm not, telling you any number of things. It's up to your imagination where it could go. Mm-hmm. We'll see where it's up to the writer's imagination if it gets picked up for season 2. But no, I'm watching, and seriously, it's the same guy. If you put Resident Evil 2 remake, because if you put Resident Evil 2 speed run, it's the 1998 PS, is that PS1, is that PlayStation?
Yeah.
And it's just so interesting, like just watching.
It was maybe it's PS2. Well, which Resident Evil 2, the original?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's PS1. Yeah.
So,
right, PS2 came out in 99.
but if you put like PS2 remake Leon,
Resident Evil 2
mm-hmm. campaign, it's this guy from England, and he doesn't seem like he seems like he's all there. You know what I mean? But it's like you can't do this unless you're.
I mean, some people are fucking smart. And also like focused, and they
well, that's it.
You can pick up. It's basically pattern recognition.
And it's beyond that though. It's even beyond pattern. Because you have to, while running, shoot perfectly. Like this guy's coming, and if you're running from point A to point B and 30 yards away, you can hit with a perfect, absolutely not one pixel to the left or right, a perfect spot on somebody's head, blow their head off. If not, you might have to hit them 5 times and they could still grab you type thing. But what's interesting is honestly, and I don't know this world at all, whether it's a Twitch thing or whatever, but people can donate to him while he's playing.
Yeah. And
they always, you always have to say thank you. I guess it's a courtesy.
Yep.
And people are also subscribing to your stream.
Right,
so
because he'll hear the chime and like the
chime.
New subscriber.
And he will make an effort to, thank you, Opti Grabber. Thank you, Batman 26261. But then there's like some names. It's like, I think it's Polish. I'm sorry if I say it wrong, but thank you. But he realizes he's on a pace to be the first person in the world to come in sub 54 minutes. And he's like, I can't believe I'm saying this, but nobody donate to me for the rest of the run. I just really want to, focus on that, because I don't know if it's a rule You have to say thank you.
Right. It's almost like I think it's more about I don't know. I don't know if there's a rule, but I'm sure it's more of a courtesy, and he doesn't want to have to feel like he's dissing people because he's taking his world record more seriously than the appreciation of somebody donating $1 or subscribing to his channel. But I get that. I don't know. It's a funny little. It's a funny little genre that speedrunning and that live. It is pretty exhilarating when you know the game so well that you're watching on Twitch that you're seeing somebody like do it at a virtuoso level. You're like, this is like I didn't know that you could play this game this way.
Well,
like it's.
And I'm not in that, with the exception of the first Batman game, which you've seen me play.
Uh-huh.
You saw me play it drunk on a system I've never played on.
Right.
When I came, we were in Qatar, but we were visiting on an Xbox.
Yeah.
And I remember you're like, it's like watching a movie.
Yeah.
You know? And then the bonus things, and same thing with Resident Evil 5. And that's there's nothing new about Resident Evil 5. It's, when I play with people, it's like, I haven't played in a few months, which is amazing, but I know where everybody is every step of the way. But when you do the bonus things and you get bonus points for consecutive kills in a row, and the most you can get is 150, and more often than not I'll get 150, and people will be like, I've been playing this forever and never done that. I'm like, but that's a very small sample size. That's a mini game within it, but this is a full on. And even though I've played it for the past couple weeks, or it's been on the background and one of the kids have been playing it, yes, because I let my 8-year-old play this. It's a huge mansion, and it goes to other buildings. It's like just remembering the fucking map. It's like
It's daunting.
I've been coming here doing this podcast with you for 18 months now, and I still keep the map on the dashboard. It's like I don't.
But it's only one trip a week.
Right. Well, there you go.
You know what? It's almost like, how did Bill Murray know all the answers to Jeopardy?
Hey,
in
did
Groundhog
you
Day?
see that the state of Massachusetts is banning tackle because of the CT, and it's and with the head.
But basically, what you're describing is like you in Resident Evil 5 is like Bill Murray in Groundhog Day. You just know where
That's it, right.
You're just like 7, 6, car, 4, drop the quarters, fix your bra.
And I think I missed the boat now with this live streaming, because when Resident Evil 7 came out, there was, again, I could never play it on VR. Even though I know the game and know where all the jump scares come, I would still have to play while either sitting on a toilet or wearing, it depends, or at least at the very minimum, brown pants. Yeah. But the little guy who was 5 when it came out, or maybe 6, and he was a boss at it. And I thought, I should live stream this. It's like for him to do a walk, not a speed run, but a walkthrough, having a 6-year-old explain to you. And part of me was like, oh, that is hilarious. And I would love it. Somebody else's kid, maybe.
Yes.
But
exactly.
I'm not a good person, and I'm not a good dad, but
just good enough. Just good enough to not exploit your kids.
So watching some Bruins games and Resident Evil 2 speed runs.
Well, you just gave us a little bit of a parenting tip. Don't live stream your kids when they're 6 years old playing Resident Evil. Do you have any other nuggets of wisdom?
I think we'll sit, because I mean, we've talked about it before, and it would still be funny because he's 8, but it would have been better when he was 3 or 4. I've always wanted to do a skit, the old comedy club, like the brick wall behind him, the one spotlight coming down, and just him and like a Rat Pack kind of tuxedo, the tie undone maybe, just doing the punchlines.
An empty martini glass.
Right. Or a full martini glass, but with like apple juice and water in it. And just telling out of context the punchline to every awful dirty joke we all know.
The aristocrats.
King Kong balls. I said ping pong balls. Forget your flashlight. We find my car keys. We can drive out of here. You only have to say it once. I did.
All right. You're a cab.
So yeah, but that's that would be my parenting tip. Although you could make some big bucks, because I think this guy probably pulled in like I was going to mock it and say, oh, maybe he made $20 playing the game. He might have made 20,000. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because it's like and it's funny. He's getting and thanking people for the money that comes in, and different denominations from different currencies. Like he's like, hey, thank you for the X amount of yen. Thank you for the quid.
Wow,
Thank you for
30 blorgs.
I didn't know Twitch took the blooms.
Yeah, but again, you're watching those people's jobs. You're basically watching them at work, because these guys have been so good that they've like given up day jobs, and this is what they do.
And I remember going back a few years thinking that, where the boys were watching Minecraft videos or Minecraft songs, and there's a couple artists that like upstairs, breaking down the fourth wall while we've talked about it, while Joe and I are giving the people what they want. No. While we're here yelling at each other in a cold basement, my little bastards are upstairs, and Joe's oldest is giving them piano lessons, and they're not learning Beethoven and Bach. They're learning songs from their favorite video games, which I don't give a fuck. Reading sheet music to a Toby Fox Undertale song is just as good. But I remember thinking, wow, these people are taking contemporary songs, making different lyrics, and putting out these Minecraft videos. What a waste of time. Oh my God, it has 200 million hits, and you're thinking, or just the walkthrough videos that I now watch, and they're watching, and you're thinking, here are these people explaining how to do X, Y, and Z, and how many people could possibly, oh my God, he has 1 million subscribers.
Yeah.
That is their job.
Right.
And then it turns out, like with the Comic-Cons or with retro gaming, these fucks are at a convention making money every weekend.
Yeah. And that's right. The streaming is like one facet of their jobs, I'm sure, because YouTube is demonetizing video and stream after whatever. Maybe Twitch isn't as devaluing as YouTube, but I'm not going to get off on a tangent of something I don't know anything about. Anyway, so I guess that's the end of the podcast. Another thing I don't know anything about: podcasting.
Did we want to do a Chris Farley? We want to do that.
I'm up for a Chris Farley. We're not promising anything, because things could change. I could die going up the stairs to check on my kids, but maybe Chris Farley sideshow coming up this week.
Maybe Thursday.
Yeah,
take a look.
Yeah,
if you like Chris Farley,
take a look,
and you don't hate us.
It's in a book, A Reading Rainbow. I can go anywhere. Well. Things to know and ways to grow. A reading rainbow. Reading rainbow. Reading rainbow.
LeVar Burton.
But you don't have to take my word for it. Down. Speaking of autism. Jacques, don't forget.